Hello everyone, welcome to Pabbly. So in this video we are going to learn how to send survey results by Google Sheet to ActiveCampaign for targeted follow-up. Now let's say I use Google Sheet to track leads and want to create contact over the ActiveCampaign for that particular lead. So here my objective is, as soon as I receive a new lead over the Google Sheet, I am going to create a contact over the ActiveCampaign. So for integrating these both applications, I am going to use a tool that is Pabbly Connect, which can integrate different applications. So if you also want to build this automation, then let me take you towards my screen. Welcome to my screen. So in this video I am going to show you how you can send survey details from Google Sheet to ActiveCampaign, and for integrating these both applications I am going to use Pabbly Connect. So now as soon as a new survey will be received over the Google Sheet, a new contact will be created over the ActiveCampaign. So now let's move on to my Google Sheet where I am receiving the survey details. So here you can see this is my Google Sheet. I have created name as survey form responses, and here I am receiving the responses from the Google form, which is a native integration of the Google Sheets. So this is the survey form from which I am receiving data over the Google Sheet. So now let's fill this form. So here you can see I have filled this form. Now I am going to submit this form. Now let's move on to our Google Sheet, and here you can see I am successfully receiving the response, that is first name as Smart, last name as Lead, email as smart@pabblytudes.com, and the user's feedback, that is very satisfied, and the improvement, that is XYZ, and the phone number also. So here I am receiving the survey responses. Now let's move on to my ActiveCampaign account and check whether we are receiving a contact over there with the same detail which we have filled over the Google Sheet or not. So here you can see I am landed to my ActiveCampaign page, and here on the contact section you can see we are successfully receiving the contact which we have recently created named as Smart Lead, and here are the details such as first name Smart, last name as Lead, and the email, phone number, and the user's feedback and the suggestions. So here you can see we are successfully building this automation. So you can also build this automation for your business by just using Pabbly Connect. Now for accessing the Pabbly Connect, you just have to type its URL over the new tab, that is pabbly.com/connect, and once you will enter the URL you will be getting the landing page of Pabbly, and here you can see we are getting two options, that is sign in and sign up free. So if you are a new user you can simply click over the sign up free, and if you sign up account for free over the Pabbly Connect you get 100 free tasks, and if you already have an existing connection you can simply click over the sign in. But before moving on forward, I am going to tell you about Pabbly Community. So here you can see this is the page of Pabbly Community where automation users, marketers, and business owners gather to share their ideas, ask questions, and get relevant update regarding using the Pabbly application. So you can also join Pabbly Community now and grow your business with us. And if you wish to join the Pabbly Community, you can find link in the description given below. Now let's move on to the Pabbly Connect again, and here I am going to simply click over the sign in as I already have an account on Pabbly. Now as you finish your sign up, you will be getting this all Pabbly apps page, and here you can see we are getting the option for Pabbly Connect, which can integrate different applications and start automating your work. Now for accessing this Pabbly Connect, we simply have to click over this Access Now button, and we will be landed to the dashboard page of Pabbly Connect. And here you can see this is the dashboard page, and these are the folders I have created. So if you also want to create your own folder, you can simply click over this Create a New Folder button and create your own folder. But here I am going to create a workflow which can integrate Google Sheets and ActiveCampaign. For that we simply have to click over this Create Workflow button, and we will be getting the option for selecting the workflow builder. And here we are getting two workflow builder, that is Beta, which is modern, faster, and more flexible, and another workflow builder we are getting is Classic, which will provide you stable and familiar approach. So here I am going to use this newly launched workflow builder Beta. So for that we simply have to click over this Select button, and as you will click on the Select button you will be getting a dialog box where you have to provide a name to your workflow. So now let's provide a name to our workflow here. So here I am providing it the name Send Survey Details from Google Sheet to ActiveCampaign, and afterwards we are getting the option for selecting the folder. So from here I am going to select this folder, that is Connect folder, and afterwards we simply have to click over this Create button, and here you can see we are getting this pop-up which says Workflow created successfully, and we are landed to a workflow page, and on this page we are getting the option for adding the trigger. So now you might be thinking, what is this trigger? So trigger is basically our first application or the application which is going to initiate our work workflow. So in this case, we are going to select our trigger app as Google Sheet. So for that, you simply have to click over this add trigger button and you will be getting this trigger setup page. And here we have to search for the Google Sheets, which can be seen over here. So let's select it, and afterwards we are getting the option for selecting the app event. So here I am going to select my app event as new or updated row. Now we simply have to click over this connect button for building the connection, and here you can see we are getting the webhook URL. So this is the webhook URL you have to paste to the Google Sheet for building the connection between Google Sheets and Pabbly Connect. So now let's move on to our Google Sheet again. So here you can see this is my Google Sheet. I have created name as survey form responses, and here I am already getting a data, that is first name as testing, last name as user, email is testing@pabblytunes.com, users feedback, suggestion and phone number. And here I am receiving this data from the survey form. Now for adding the webhook URL, we just have to go to extensions, and here you can see we are getting the option for add-ons. So you just have to click over this get add-ons and you will be landed to the Google Workspace Marketplace. And here we have to search for the Pabbly Connect webhook. And here we are getting this option, so let's select it. And here you can see we are getting this Pabbly Connect webhooks. So firstly you have to install it, and afterwards you just have to go to extensions again, and here you can see we are getting the option for Pabbly Connect webhooks. So you just have to select it, and afterwards you just have to select this initial setup, and we will be getting the initial setup dialog box. And in this initial setup dialog box, you can see we are getting the option for pasting the webhook URL and entering the trigger column. So here we have to paste the webhook URL which we have recently received from the Pabbly Connect. So now let's move on to the Pabbly Connect, and here I am going to copy this URL and paste it over this dialog box. And here I have pasted my webhook URL. Now it is asking me to select the trigger column. So trigger column is basically our final data column because we want to send the entire data of the Google Sheet. So here in this case you can see our trigger column is G. So here I am going to enter G. Now we simply have to click over this submit button, and here you can see I am getting this message which says setup configured successfully. And afterwards we simply have to click over this send test for sending the test data, and here you can see our test data has been successfully submitted. So now let's move on to the Pabbly Connect again, and here you can see we are successfully receiving the response, that is response A, with the same detail which we have added to our Google Sheet. So here we are done with our trigger setup. Now we simply have to set up our action app. So for that you just have to click over this add new action step button, and you will be getting this action setup page. And here we have to search for the ActiveCampaign, and here we are getting the option for ActiveCampaign. So let's select it, and afterwards we have to select the app event. So in this case I am going to create a contact as soon as I receive the survey details. So for that I am going to simply click over this create a contact, and afterwards we simply have to click over this connect button for building the connection between ActiveCampaign and Connect. So if you already have an existing connection, you can use this, that is select existing connection. And if you want to build a new connection, you can simply click over this add new connection button, and here we are getting the connection name. And afterwards it is asking me to paste the URL. So for getting the URL you have to follow these steps, but here I am going to show you how you can get this URL. So for that let's move on to my ActiveCampaign account, and here on my ActiveCampaign account you can see I am getting the option for settings. So you just have to select the settings, and here on the settings you can see we are getting the option for developers. So you just have to select this option, and on the developers page you can see I am getting the API URL. So let's copy this URL, and now let's move on to the Pabbly Connect again, and here I am going to paste this URL. And here on the helpdesk you can see it is written that we have to provide the URL without the protocol. So now let's move this protocol from here, and afterwards we are getting the option for pasting the API key. So for getting the API key, again we have to move to our ActiveCampaign account, and here I am getting this API key. So let's copy this API key, and again let's move on to the Pabbly Connect, and here I am going to paste this API key. And afterwards we simply have to click over this save button for saving our connection. And here you can see our connection has been saved successfully, and we are getting some of the fields. So here I am going to map these fields. Now you might be thinking, what is this mapping? So mapping is basically inserting the data from the previous field. Mapping basically makes the field dynamic, means you don't have to enter your data again and again. The fields will be replaced with the new responses. And here the first field I am getting is email. So I am going to map the email from the response which I have received from the Google Sheets. So now let's map it, and here you can see I'm getting the email, so I am going to map it. And afterwards we are getting the option for mapping our first name, so here I am going to map my first name also. So here I have mapped my first name, and afterwards I am going to map my last name also. So here I have mapped my last name also. Now we have to map our phone number, so I am going to map my phone number from the response of the Google Sheet. So here you can see I am getting the phone number also, and afterwards we are getting the field that is preferred language, which I am going to leave the blank, and afterwards we are getting the field that is users feedback. So here I am going to map my users feedback from the response of the Google Sheet. So here you can see I am getting the users feedback, so I have mapped it also. And now I am going to map my users suggestion. So here you can see I am getting my users suggestion, and here I have mapped my all necessary fields. And here I am going to simply click over the save and send test request for sending the test data to the ActiveCampaign. So now let's click over this button, and as I have clicked over the save and send test request, you can see I am getting a positive response, means we have successfully built in the connection. Now let's move on to my ActiveCampaign account and check whether we are receiving a contact with the same detail or not. So now let's move on to my ActiveCampaign account, and on the sidebar you can see we are getting the contacts. So I have selected it, and here on the contacts pages of ActiveCampaign you can see I am successfully receiving the contact which I have recently created in my Google Sheet. So here you can see this is the contact I have created, named as testing user, and its general details having first name as testing, last name as user, phone number, and the user's feedback and the suggestions also. So this is the way you can create an automation for your business by just using Pabbly Connect. So start using Pabbly Connect now, and stay tuned to our YouTube channel for learning more about Pabbly and creating many more amazing automations like this. And if you like this video, please like, share and subscribe. And if you want to practice this workflow, you can find its link in the description given below. So thank you for watching this video. Not only this automation, you can build many more integrations like this by just using Pabbly Connect. So if you have any doubt, you can mail us at support@pabbly.com, and if you have any queries, you can post it over the forums.pabbly.com. and if you have any pricing related issue, then you can visit the URL given over here. So start using Pabbly Connect for free now.